Hello lovely people, welcome back to my channel. I hope you are all well. Today it's time for another 2 video special on a show. We are doing the Nervous Guide here today. So if you want to know all you need to know about the show Comedy About Spies before you go into it, stick around and we'll get into it in 2 whole seconds. So yes, we are back in the box. In fact, I think this is one of the first videos I'm doing in this space. I'm currently in London seeing shows, and to save myself time in the long run, I've decided to film some of them whilst I'm down here, even if the time is currently 10:30 at night. I have just come back in from watching the Comedy About Spies, and I decided I want to do the Nervous Guide now, and then I'll film the second video in a minute / in the morning. But if you don't know what I'm talking about, she's like, you're thinking, why is she talking about 2 video system? What? Let's get into that spiel. You thought we had forgotten it. No. For every show that I see, I like to do 2 separate videos, time permitting. The first of the 2 videos is this one. This is the Nervous Guide. Like I said, it's everything you need to know before you go into the show. So that is view from my seat, running time, sensory warnings, content warnings, information about the theatre, merchandise. Everything you need to know before you go in. And then the second video we do is the review. Review is always put in inverted commas because at the end of the day I am not anyway professional. I just like to talk through my thoughts on a show, bearing in mind that 9 times out of 10 I go and see them alone. There we go. So without further ado, let's get into the Nervous Guide for this show, for Comedy About Spies. Now the first thing to talk about, let's do the theatre and the view. The theatre it is in is the Noel Coward. I never really talk about the theatres themselves anymore because they are theatres I've been in recently or theatres I've been in previously, and I kind of remember a lot about them and forget to talk about them. This, like I said, is in the Noel Coward Theatre. I sat in the Royal Circle, which as you walk into the main foyer area, you are at the right level. So the Royal Circle is the middle circle in the space. I believe there is a circle above and then there's stalls below. So as I walked in, I literally needed to walk through the door, past the merch, which I then went back to in the interval, and through the left side into my seat. I did also stop at the toilets. I know we haven't discussed toilets in a while. What am I doing? The toilets in the Royal Circle / foyer area of the Noel Coward Theatre are an interesting bunch. They are quite narrow, quite tight. In fact, well, the toilet cubicle itself is an okay standard cubicle size. However, the space that there is for sinks and walkway does not exist, to the point there was a little bit of like people dancing. People who were trying to wash their hands but then was aware that people coming out of the toilets. Apologies if you're male and you're watching this. I don't know the situation for you, but for females, that was what we had to deal with in the foyer / Royal Circle area. Moving on from the toilets, like I said, I was sat in the Royal Circle, and I was sat in, just get my screen shot ready, I was in F17. Like always, I will try and put a picture or my little video clip of the seat. This seat was slap bang in the centre of in the row I was in. F is the third row from the back. I think there's 2 sets of people behind me. Could be 1. I'm pretty sure there was 2. It wasn't the most roomiest legroom seat that I've ever sat in, but there was room to manoeuvre and I wasn't uncomfortable, but there wasn't a lot of room for my legs in this seat. Width wise, incredibly comfortable, no qualms there. And like I said, it was in the centre of the row, which was excellent. Perfect view. I actually went on one of the nights / the night that they were filming this show for future endeavours. I don't know whether they're planning to stream it or sell it. I don't know what their plan is, but for the future they decided to record it, and I went to one of the recorded shows. So that was kind of exciting, plus it meant that there was no one leaning over to like encroach my view, because I had 2 rows in front of me and then there was seats taken out so they could bring the cameras in. But 100% recommend this seat. I actually got it through a thing on TodayTix called Drops, I believe is its name. I'm just going to TodayTix, yes, Drops, which basically within 3 days of going you can get some mostly decent ticket offers. Granted, my ticket for this show was the most that I spent over the entirety of my trip down here, but long story short, was a fan. So that's seat done, theatre done. Let's get into the content and sensory. Content wise, I don't know what to warn you of. There is a little bit of fighting in it, but it is cleverly choreographed and also slightly comical fighting, so it's not like you're gonna see a lot of proper full-on fisticuffs. Yeah, I feel like this one for me was more of a sensory based show. On entry in the box office area there is a little thing that says this production includes strobe lighting, infrequent mild bad language and the use of haze and gunshots. Now if I go to my notes, which I only actually wrote for the first half because I did it in the interval, there are many of my issues here. If you don't know me and you've never seen one of these videos before, basically for me personally, I am most affected by bright lights, visible guns, gunshots, loud noises. That's pretty much it. There is haze. It's not like full floor into the auditorium kind of haze. It's used quite sparsely compared to the show I saw this afternoon, which I'm just going to show you the programme for because I'm not doing a video because I watched it on the last day, but I went to go and watch A Midsummer Night's Dream, stood standing, even got myself out a flower crown. That was a hazy show. This haze for me wasn't a major issue. Like I said, I was first floor up, but it didn't really cause me too many problems. However, because of when it is set and because of its content and genre, it being about spies, there are few visible guns. So let's do it in order. Let's talk quickly through my Act 1 notes, and then we'll go through Act 2. So Act 1, at the end of the first scene, there is a explosive device brought in. It is then passed around a few various cast who are on the stage at that point. There is a countdown, and when it goes to 1, it goes kaboom, and there is a blackout. It's not massively loud bang, but it did have like a good explosion noise to it. So that is something to be aware of. Then after that scene, it moves into like a spy-like montage. There is music played underneath it. There is people running around. There is things going on. During that scene, alongside the music, there is a few guns pointed and fires shot and guns shot. The sound isn't loud, and it is kind of masked in that scene by the music, but they are there and they are heard. Wanted you to be aware. The final thing to mention in relation to the invisible guns in Act 1 is during the hotel room scenes, which take up towards most of the end of Act 1, I think, when there is 4 separate rooms, and there's 4 different sets of people in those rooms. There are occasionally visible guns held by either the 2 Russian spies and the 2 American agents. During that set and during those scenes, the guns are only ever pointed at people. They are never, I was gonna say they are never shot. However, my brain has just reminded me there is a few moments when they are shot. However, they are not bullet shots. They are tranquilizer dart shots. So slightly quieter, but they are still guns. So that is Act 1. Act 2, there is a few other moments when there are visible guns involved. Occasionally they are shot. The main moments to remember for gunshots are mainly towards the end, in the last scene. There are a few other ones throughout Act 2, but they are not loud guns. They are often visible, but if you're like me, you don't like that, I tend to just go to that motion. The end of Act 2, the last big scenes on the dock side. Hopefully I'm not ruining anything if you haven't seen the show already. During those moments there are a variety of guns, again visible, and some of them are shot. Interestingly, I don't know if because there are different types of gun models, they have slightly different gunshot noises. I don't know the makeup of them, so I'm not an expert in any way. I just know if there's a gun on stage, I'm probably going to put my fingers to my ear. But some of them were louder than others. Again, not majorly loud gunshot sounds, but they are gunshot sounds that you need to be aware of if, like me, you are not a fan of visible guns and gunshots and loud noises. The final loud noise basically rounds off the end of Act 2, when there is one final explosion. it comes alongside a red light, and then everything goes to black. It's in the final blackout, then the cast come and take their bows. So yes, there are loud noises, yes there are gunshots, yes there are visible guns. It is all done in a very clever way, and I think now I've seen it, if I did go back and watch it again, it wouldn't bother me as much. But it was the case of I didn't know when they were coming, so I was a bit more anxious, if that makes sense. It's the unknown. So that is content and sensory warnings done. The final thing, the thing we've introduced recently, is a little haul of the goodies I got from the merch. Now, I met up with a friend before I went in. We had a drink and a chat, and I was warned that the merch is extensive and a little bit pricey. And you know me, I love to get a program and a pin if possible. So here's what I got. As you've already seen it, I have got the program. The program is £5, which is pretty standard for London. I've bought 4 programs at this point, 3 programs, and I was gifted one. And they've all averaged about £5–6. So again, not too bad. And this is also a pretty chunky program. Can't go wrong. I also, like I just said, love a pin, and this cost £8, which I think is a bit steep, seeing as though it literally says comedy about spies. There was other pins available. There is a pin set. So here is all merch available. But yeah, that was £8. And then I don't want to start this collection, but I got a key ring. On the back it says comedy about spies with the mischief label, and on the front it says room 241 Piccadilly Hotel, door key. It's kind of undescript. You don't, unless you look at the back, you don't know what it's from. But I don't know, I think it came to me whilst I was waiting in the queue. I was like, ooh, that gold shiny keyring takes my fancy. Like I said, it's not something I want to start buying for every single show. I have bought one, or I have received one other one recently. We don't need to start this collection because we've already got a collection of programs and a collection of pins. We need to calm down. But saying that, for that, which was 8, keyring, which was 12, and the program, which was 5, it's a good amount of money. £25 for 3 things is a lot. Good job I'm going home tomorrow. But that is pretty much that. My battery light is flashing, my mental life is flashing, because it is getting close to 11 o'clock. And yeah, I'm going to silence myself, bid you farewell, so thank you very much for watching. I hope you come back tomorrow. I love you all lots. Tomorrow? I don't know. It's late. I hope you come back for my next video, is what I should have said, when we shall talk our thoughts, or my thoughts and feelings on the show. But that is enough. Let's silence myself, bid you farewell, and say the final thing we always say, which is so long, farewell, auf Wiedersehen, goodbye. Is that? No, bye.